Hey everyone. Hope everyone's doing good. Hope you all are doing happy, doing blessed, and just doing overall safe. Welcome to my book review of the first book of the October Fall series called October Fall. Now, this is the first book in the series as of the recording of this video, which is May 18th of 2024. There are 9 books total, but this is the first book of the series. Now, before I begin, I do want to put a spoiler warning on the screen for possible spoilers for this book. Okay. So if maybe you haven't read it and you don't want to be spoiled, please check out some of my other videos. Or maybe if you don't care, go ahead and keep on going. But I do want to put a spoiler warning on the screen because I don't want you to be spoiled by anything. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you've been warned. Possible spoilers from this moment forward. So before I really get into the review of this book, let me just give you some overall details about this book in general. So the book itself is called October Fall. It is the first book in the October Fall series. This book is a post-apocalyptic novel, and it was written by Mark Lauren, and it is 527 pages long. That includes a chapter list as well as a character list and a glossary of terms. Okay, so that is all included in this book. All right. The overall plot story of this book is there is a man named Jack. He's a former Army veteran who works at the VA. And while working at the VA, event causes a nationwide power outage in the United States. This event is called an electromagnetic pulse. And basically, it's a burst of high energy that basically fries all electronics. When he gets back home to his wife Samantha, him and his neighbors, who before the event have formed a what they call a mutual assistance group, okay, basically start putting their preps into play. Okay, they basically start preparing for what's to come. All right, now before the event they had prepared, but now they're putting those plans into play. Okay, so this book basically goes over the first couple of weeks after the event, everything that's happened. Him having to go out and get supplies, him trying to protect his property as well as those in the rest of his little group, him having to make decisions about who to bring into the group and who not to bring into the group, and eventually culminates in him having to leave his home and go to a secondary site to feel more secure. Okay. The book basically follows him as well as another family called the Hog family. Now they are the complete opposite of Jack. Okay. So whereas Jack was prepared, he's trying to do the right thing, the Hog family is completely separate. They don't care about doing the right thing for anything. They want their own little kingdom in this new world. Okay. So that is the overall book and where its focus lies in terms of where the focus of each chapter lies. Some chapters will focus on Jack and his family. Some chapters will focus on Jack's son Cole trying to get back with his sister to so that way they can get home. And some chapters and some sections will focus on the Hog family and how they are trying to gather themselves up. Okay. So really the book has 3 focuses. Jack and Samantha, their kids Cole and Lindsay, and then the Hog family. So now let me tell you what I liked about this book, okay? First off, I like the fact that it had a glossary of terms. A lot of books in this category usually have a glossary, but there have been more and more I've noticed that don't have this glossary of terms. I think that's really important to have that because this does open the book up to more people. Okay. Not everyone's going to know what an M60 tank is. Not everyone's going to know what a flank is or a field of fire or rules of engagement or stuff like that. Okay. So I think having a glossary of terms is really important for books like this. Okay, because not everyone's going to know those terms, and so you're either going to look in the glossary and find it, or you're going to go on Google. Now, if you have to go on Google, you know what happens? It breaks up your rhythm of reading. Okay, like for me, like if a book does not have a glossary of terms and there's a term I don't understand, I will literally have to put down my book, go on Google, read it, then come back to my book, pick up where I left off, and try to understand what the term is as to what Google is saying. Whereas with this book and many others like it that have a glossary, you just go to the back of the book, find the term you're looking for. Oh, he meant it like that, and then reread that term, and you'll understand it more clearly without having to break up your rhythm. Okay, so I really like the fact that he had a glossary of terms at the back of the book. I thought that was really something special. It was a really good idea to do that. Some books had do it, some books in this genre do not do it, and I'm glad he chose to do it because it is very helpful for a lot of people who do not know what all these terms mean, and it really helps them not break up their rhythm in reading their book and their story and stuff. Another thing I liked was he had character lists. Now, in books like these, there are a lot of characters, okay? And having a character list that defines, okay, these are the main characters, these are the side characters, and these are like people you just meet along the way really helps us keep all these characters, in line in terms of our head. Okay. Like when I read a book, okay, it's kind of like I'm watching TV. What's happening on the pages is happening on the TV screen in my head. Okay. Maybe that's different for everyone, but that's the way I do it. Okay. And knowing these characters and knowing, like, okay, Cole is Jack's son, he was going to college. Jordan is a woman who works at the Publix. Alexa is a woman who works at the Publix, so forth and so forth. Really helps keep the story going. And it helps you know, where did this character come from? Why did this character do this? Knowing where in the story this character entered and why she entered it the way she did really helps in keeping the characters going straight in your mind, and basically helps keep the flow of the story going, okay? Without you getting lost. Because if you don't have a character list, okay, it's real easy to get lost with all the characters that are coming and going, okay? And sometimes you kind of got to reread everything like, oh, that character came in here. That's why she did this. Whereas if you have a character list and you kind of get lost in that, you can go back there and read, like, oh, the character came in here. That's why all this happened. Okay. So I really like the fact that they had a character list. It really does help keep all the characters you encounter throughout the book in line in your head, and let you know where they enter the book and why they are the way they are. Another thing I liked was the chapter list. Okay. And I'm going to focus on the chapter list and chapters right now. I like the chapter list because it lets you know where you are in the story. Okay. And maybe you're one of these people who like to speed read or whatnot, but just knowing where you are at in the story is a good thing in my opinion. Like if there's like 23 chapters and you're on chapter 10, you're halfway through the story. If there are 23 chapters and you're on chapter 20, you're getting to the end of the story. Okay. I just think that it helps you know where you've been, so that way you know how far you've got to go in the story. Okay. So I really did like the chapter list. And speaking of the chapters are really uniform. Okay. I really like that a lot also. I thought that keeping the chapters right around the same length was a good thing. Now, there are chapters that are smaller, there are chapters that are longer. I will full admit that. But the majority of chapters were right around the same length in terms of pages. And he really knew where to end a chapter at, okay? He never had one main event cross over from one chapter to another. If something happened here, okay, it ended in this chapter. Now, maybe in the next chapter you saw it shown from a different perspective, but he really knew where the end of chapters at. And I really just think it shows his proficiency as a writer. Okay. So yeah, I really like the way he did the chapters, and I like the fact that he did a chapter list. Okay. So now let me talk about the characters. Okay. I like the majority of the characters. Okay. Now let me say this. I did not like the villains of the story, the so-called villains. Okay. But the majority of the characters I liked. Okay. I will talk about the characters I did not like later on, but the majority I liked because they felt grounded, they felt real, they made decisions that made sense, even though they were hard to make. Okay. And they just felt like people I could connect with. Okay. And I think that is important. There is a person in this book that you are going to be able to connect with. Okay. Whether you're male or female. Okay. There is going to be someone in this book you are going to be able to connect with. Whether it's Cole and Lindsay off to college, or it's Jack and Samantha, the married vets, or some of the other people in the mutual assistance group that are mentioned throughout the story. There is going to be someone in this book you are going to be able to connect with. Maybe not 100%, but you're going to be able to connect with them. Okay. And I thought having a wide range of characters, both old and young, was really good and really helps people connect with the book and with those characters. Now, let me say this. There was one group of characters I did not like. And I'm going to talk about that later on in my dislikes. But the rest of the characters, the majority of characters, I really did like and really felt were really well written, really well grounded, and made it a lot easier for anyone who reads this, whether you're male, female, old, young, vet, non vet, whatever, really able to connect with a lot of these characters. Now let me talk about the setting. So the setting of this book is basically an electromagnetic pulse fries out this guy's home, fries out the country, and this is taking place in the United States. Okay, in particular, it's taking place in Florida. Okay, and basically, he has to try and survive. Okay, I thought the way they did it was very plausible. The guy knew what had happened, but he wasn't sure about a lot of things, like who did it, where did it happen, all that stuff. All he knew at first was that all the power was gone, nothing was working that was powered by electricity, essentially, and that he had to get home and try to protect his wife because he knew all chaos was going to break through. And then throughout the book, he knows he's going to have to eventually leave. And so he starts making preparations to leave his home because it's so close to a city. Okay. And he knows that as soon as people realize the power ain't coming back and law enforcement and all the other norms of society are gone, people are going to go crazy. And he doesn't want to be a target. He knows that with his preps that he's done, that he's basically a target. And throughout the book, you see him making decisions based on that assumption that he's basically got bullseye on his back, that his friends have bullseyes on their back. Okay. And so throughout the book, you see him making preparations to head to a second site that he has already, set up, not fully, but already prepared enough to where they can go there and survive what's coming. Okay. So, no, I really dug the setting. I really dug how he did it because, a lot of these books, they make it seem so out there. You know what I'm saying? They make it seem so out there in terms of the preps. Now, let me say this, okay, about the setting. Okay, there was something I would have changed in the setting, and I'm going to talk about that later on. But overall, I like the setting. I like the way he did it. I like the way he made it feel real. Okay, like this was something that could happen. Okay, he didn't try and make any stupid decisions, or he didn't try and make it go overboard or anything. The first 24 hours of the book, they didn't know a whole lot. Okay, he didn't know what was going on, but by day two, he knew that okay, this is what's happened. This is what we gotta do, and that goes for all the characters. Throughout the first couple of chapters, Cole and not Cole, but Jack and Samantha, they're worried about their kids who have gone off to college. Okay, and even though they have given them the capacity to get home and stuff like that, they're still worried about them because they're worried that, you know, of all the chaos that's going to happen. Okay, so the whole setting made it feel really grounded, and through the lens of not just a prepper or survivalist or whatnot, but through the lens of a man and a father and stuff. And I really liked how he did that, and I think it's really going to connect with people if people read the book. It's going to connect with a lot of people who will understand. Hey, I can see where he's coming from with that. Whereas a lot of these prepper books, they do it from the mindset of a prepper, not so much through the mindset of a father or husband or whatnot, but through the mindset of a prepper. And that's not a bad thing, okay? It's just, for me, this book was different from a lot of other books I've read because they did it through the mindset of a father, of a normal guy who maybe served in the military, but from a normal guy who basically was just trying to protect his family and was trying to prepare for the worst because he saw it coming. Okay. And he's just trying to get his family through what's going on. Okay. Another thing I liked was the story. Okay. I talked about setting earlier. Now I'm going to talk about story because in these types of books, okay, there are two types of these types of books. You've got the books that have a whole lot of story with a little bit of information to help you get through something like this. And then you got books that have a whole lot of information and a little bit of story. This book has a whole lot of story and a lot of information, okay, which is something rare, okay. Now, and I really like it, okay. I really felt that he did a great job with the story. He didn't let the information overshadow the story, okay. And everything they were doing made sense to the story. He's trying to survive, and I really like the story. From the moment the pulse goes off to the moment he makes it to this other site, the story made sense and it felt cohesive, okay. From the scenario, from his reactions, from his neighbors' reactions, even from the people who did not prepare, and how he reacted to them. The story was great. I absolutely loved it, and I felt enthralled by it, and it really grabbed a hold of me. Okay, this book really grabbed hold of me, and I really did enjoy the story of this book. And the fact that it had a lot of information with it, and the fact that that information didn't overshadow the story, really tells that he was trying to get people in with the story, but kind of tell them how to survive something like this with that information. Okay. So I really did like the fact that the information did not overshadow the story. Because if that happens, you're going to turn a lot of people off. People who maybe don't want to think about, like solar panels and that sort of thing. But if you keep them in with the story, okay, you'll teach them with the information. And the information did not overshadow the story. And I really like that. Now let me talk about what I dislike. The first big problem that I have with this book is that it kind of falls into the same trap that a lot of post apocalyptic books fall into, in that it kind of loses the weight of what's happened because the guy made so many preps. Okay. Now, throughout the book, he realizes, okay, I should have gotten this and so forth and so forth. But the fact that he didn't have so many preps, the fact that he did prepare for this did lessen the weight of it a little bit. And the weight of what happened did not really hit until he had to go out and get supplies, which happened about midway through the book, where he had to go to a local Walmart, which in the book is called a Publix. I didn't know what Publix was until I looked it up in the glossary, and it was a Walmart, basically. He had to go to basically a local supermarket chain, that sort of thing, and get supplies. Okay. The weight of what happened really didn't hit, at least for me, until that moment, because he saw the chaos in the streets. He saw what was going on at the grocery stores. And on his way back, he was almost raided by a group of men with baseball bats and nails. Okay. That's when the weight of what happened really hit for me. Okay. And I felt that if he maybe hadn't done so many preps, if maybe he had, you know, had to go out and find another vehicle or if he had to go out sooner, in terms of getting supplies, finding out about his kids, that sort of thing, then I think the weight of what happened would have really hit a lot sooner. Okay. And a lot of post apocalyptic books fall into this trap where they made all these preps. Okay. And the weight of what happened has not really hit. Okay. There's only been a few who have done that, have not fallen into the trap. This one is not one of them books. This one, it really fell into that trap where the way of what had happened had not hit until at least a couple chapters in. Okay. And I felt that if maybe he didn't make so many preps, or maybe if there were more neighbors who didn't make as many preps as he did, then maybe the weight would have hit a lot more of what happened and what's going to happen. Instead, we didn't really get the weight of what had happened with the event until like halfway through the book, maybe chapter 5, chapter 6, when he had to go outside his little community to get more supplies because they were running low and stuff. Okay. That's when the weight of it really hit because you saw what was going on at the local Walmart. And this book is called Publix. But at the local Walmart, you saw looting at the restaurants. You saw them being held up by a bunch of guys with baseball bats. Okay. And that's when the weight of everything really hit. Okay. And that's when the story, like, really for me, got me. Okay. Before that, it was just like, okay, this is the prelude to everything. Okay, his preps are working, he's got enough food, etc., etc. But the moment he left his little community and had to go out and try to get more supplies, that's when the weight of everything really hit me. And it was the same with some of the other characters, like his son Cole and his daughter. Okay, it was the same way. Cole had not done any preps, but his father had done them for him. Okay. And the fact that that happened really, lessened the weight of the event until about halfway through when his dad had to go into town to the Publix. Okay. So, yeah, I really felt that it fell into the trap of too many preps early on. Okay. Now, the second thing I did not like was I said earlier I liked the majority of characters. Okay. But one group of characters I did not like was the Hogs. And they're basically the villains of the story. Okay. And the reason I don't like the Hogs is not because of the choices they make or the fact that they're villains or whatnot. It's just the fact that he spread it on too thick. Okay. You know, I have never met anyone who was that bad. Okay. Now maybe that's just me, but I felt that he spread it on way too thick about this guy. He's basically a certain type of person who doesn't care about anyone else but himself, who basically wants his own little fiefdom in this post-apocalyptic world, whereas Jack and his family, they want to live and survive. They're not in it to get their own little country or whatnot. But the Hogs have these illusions of grandeur. Okay, all but one. Okay, all but one. All right, and he just really laid on the fact that these were meant to be the bad guys, and he really laid it on thick. Okay, and I didn't like that. Okay, I just really didn't like that. Okay, I get that they're meant to be bad guys, but there are more subtle ways to do it. Okay, and I just did not like that about the Hog family characters in this book, and I also didn't like the fact that you really didn't feel the weight of the event until about chapter 5, chapter 6, when he first had to go into town and get supplies. Those are my two pet peeves with this book. So, in closing, let me say this. I really did enjoy this book. Okay. Yeah, it's got two little problems in it, but they are so overshadowed by what's been done right in this book. The story, the setting, the information, the characters, well, the majority of characters. All that was really well done. I really liked it. You're going to stay for the story, okay? But throughout the story, you're going to learn a few things, especially if you're one of these people who are preparing for some type of disaster or something else. You're going to learn a few things. Okay. So, yeah, I really did enjoy this story. I thought this was a great story. I thought it was really, really well done. And Mark Lawrence should be really proud of this book. And this is book one in the October Falls books, okay, in the October Fall series. So I probably will end up getting book two eventually. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. In fact, I enjoyed this book so much, it's making me want to just go and get October Falls book two right away. Okay. But like, yeah, I really did enjoy the story. I enjoyed the book entirely. I like the fact he had a glossary. They added a character list. He added a chapter list. I like the story, the plot. I like the majority of characters, not all of them, but the majority of them. I like the overall setting. I like the event itself, the choices that were made. The information didn't overshadow the story. Yeah, I liked it all. So I'm really happy with this book. So if I were to give it a score, I would give it 8 out of 10 stars. The only reason it doesn't get like a 9 or a 10 is because of the simple fact of those two little things. Okay. And hopefully in the next book, it won't do that. Okay. But yeah, I liked the fact that he did all those things right. And yeah, it had two little problems. That's why it's getting an 8 out of 10 stars. I really like that. This is going to be a great book to read, whether you're just an impulse buy book reader, whether this is a planned book to kind of learn things, whether it's just a summertime reading. You're out on the beach, you want to read something exciting, here you go. It would go for anyone. And the fact that it does have a glossary and a character list and a chapter list will really help it open it up to a lot more people out there. He should be really proud of this book. Mark Lawrence did a great job with this book. And honestly, it makes me want to go ahead and buy book two. And only a few books have made me really excited for book two, and this is one of them. Okay. So yeah, he did a great job. 8 out of 10 stars, most definitely. So I hope you enjoyed my book review of October Fall, book one of the October Fall series written by Mark Lawrence. I hope you guys will check out some of my other book reviews I have on my channel, as well as some of my other videos I have over there. Please check out my YouTube, my Odyssey, my Rumble for more videos to check out. Please check out my Twitter, which will be at the end of this video. Thank y'all for watching. I hope you guys stay safe, stay healthy. I will see y'all in the next video and in the next stream. Y'all take care of yourselves, and I will see y'all later.